In my opinion, this is one of the most disturbing parts of the Epstein files. This depicts a very perverted sexual comic of his most depraved fantasies. And now we will continue. Without further ado, here we go. So here we are. This on the screen is a disturbing image that does reappear many times in the files, where he's cuddling which seems to be either babies and very young children. And he has no remorse or anything, and he is just having a time of his life which is extremely bitter. So, which is bitter and creepy for all of us that are learning about this. So now we go into the rabbit hole darkness. Now, these are the victims that were underaged, and he has it looks like a comic type sketch, and I'm sure this is absolutely was his fantasies that he got off on, that he would look at and God knows what else. So it says, once upon a time, a there was a clueless little girl, how do I look? So a lot of these victims were at malls and were looking for direction, etc. They were misguided, say they were from broken homes, etc. And some were not necessarily from that, and they were looking for work and new opportunities. So the Maxwell and the other ones would go and groom them and bring them in. And it's very creepy language, calls them little girl. It's a typical creep. And always thinking that they want his approval and always try to manipulate them for that. So we have him right there, these strange, bizarre collages of then it's like a comic, then what is he doing? He wouldn't. And then Epstein is there looking elastic. That is very, very perverted. And then this other one of him going laying down again, cuddling, which seems to be a very young child. This is upside down. I met you. Those eyes are blue, and the little teeth. Yeah, very, very creepy. As he's describing these young, victims. Then he has these very strange cards. The cards that you would play in Goldfish or poker. Cards that you would play those games with. And he said, I played the cards I was dealt, which I'm sure means a code for something, because recently there has been Pizzagate that has been released or been discussed where they use the word pizza that really may mean something nefarious, like these child trafficking rings, these alleged child trafficking rings, which we can see clearly right here. There's actually uh, is going on, right? There's some bubbles, it looks like. Yeah, very disturbing. And you see, this is the island. Those airplanes were used to traffic victims, obviously, and there is many, as I said before, and many others, celebrities, rock stars, people that were politicians, were leaders that were on these flights. Certainly, that were being used for blackmail, and victims are redacted. You see, maybe it's him or someone else being hugged by one of the victims, and he did like the massages that also could be something going on there. And this very odd one of him as a Christmas tree, first Xmas. Oh my goodness, I'll be the first, which I do not even want to know what that means. And here we have very, very creepy. This is all redacted because it is a nude picture, of course, with the victim's face being redacted as well. Came is my cover blown. What could this be? Then there's I learned, and he had some two, three others, and then him sitting with another victim right there. Somebody looks like a party with some victims and grew, whatever that means. And someone like in the beach, because this is on the islands they have, and this really scary, scary picture of this hideous a monster right here with his right there. I know that's what they do with the spa treatment, but it adds the complete, unsettling, uncanny, subhuman nature of Epstein right there. And he said, I beautified. And then it shows him getting his face done, and right there he has like a needle in his head. So that's like plastic surgery they would use to clear out wrinkles, things like that. And him getting a massage, and this dude was obsessed with massages. That was his whole life's goal. So that is something else that's reoccurring a lot. There's even a manual that Maxwell gave to the victims on how to do the massages and their quote unquote job correctly there. Then you got someone with bizarre nurse doctor outfit with some more shots with the different gear. Then you have him right there again. And there's a golf cart, and there says B. Then you have him with a real creepy smile with a victim. And then 4. Then he has a sword and a suit, and after. This is like some really, really messed up trip. These evil people make no sense. And I know I'm sure there's a lot of encrypted code of some other subliminal meaning in this. And there's Pragu. I probably may have said that wrong, but that is a part of Eastern Europe. That over there. And then there's Ches Milk. So Ches and Pragu, those are 2 parts of Eastern Europe, by the way. And there's Dubai. Maybe these are different places he had victims that he brought to the island, and people he was doing shady things with. Maybe we traveled. See, we traveled. That means that he was traveling around with the victims and bringing them to different places, in my opinion. And he was basically just all over, and he had these connections everywhere. This vast network. Then he's in. Another thing in the files that I've noticed is they go on lots of ambitious vacations and parades and parts of Europe and other parts of the world that are very grand. So there we go. He's with a victim in Prague. I know I am working on number 3. You're the best. Oh, really, you're so sweet to me. You see, and that's how these, grooming works. They go and give them nice things, and their Stockholm syndrome sets in, and they try to entrap them, and people are forced. So yeah, it's basically a scene of what he was doing with these people. Then we fought, which that's a very, very unsettling, disturbing factor. They fought. I'm sure people did fight for their lives and they didn't want to be there, so that's very unsettling, very creepy. And see, that's a victim there. Then hugged. Well, I'm sure they hugged because they had no choice. They were basically enslaved and coerced. They were manipulated to be there, yeah. Which this is a story about something which I have no idea of, but eventually, as we crack the code, we'll figure out in time, hopefully, what was going on, who these people were. But it's good that the victims are being redacted and their identities are concealed in a way that for their privacy. In hypothetical ongoing cases, and there's nice cars, creepy images of hugging, Band-Aid, and we laughed, and there's a picture of a deer just out of nowhere. More pictures of him, and more pictures of cards. Good job with the most bizarre, creepiest balloon ever. Right there. Which I don't even know what that is. Then there's Jeff, there's now you drive, I will get you. Oh, there's a crab too. And a horse. Yeah, this is some very bizarre subliminal messaging in this very creepy comic. This mess indeed. 2007, September 17th. Yeah, he was certainly, that's when he was doing those activities back then, definitely. More redacted victims. All right, and then that's him and one of the victims. All right. So, oh yeah, very, very bizarre find from the Epstein iceberg. And we are going to find more creepy things like this, but yeah, this is something definitely that must be exposed. Absolutely. Feel free to comment below your thoughts about this. This part of the Epstein files, some of the most disturbing images from the release is this also. This is Epstein, which he is laying or sitting with a redacted victim, which is an underaged woman, girl. And he is sitting there, looks like he's having the relaxing afternoon with a book on his stomach, doing his odd behaviors. Over down here is another redacted victim, and they do this to protect their identity and to censor any vulgar imagery. Right, so this is a victim that was in a pool on a pool toy to one of those floaty things over by a with some different things in the background. Now this is one of the images that he most likely kept to himself, and also I assume clients he had. In my opinion, this was part of his operations because he had lots of pictures he kept for himself for his own personal depraved interests and for the other people too. All right, so down here we have a very disturbing image of two of the girls. Now their faces are covered with pillows, but their breasts were showing, but they have that redacted. And over by the armpit, that area is most likely a tattoo of some kind. With tattoos, you could go and identify people, so that is most likely why they kept that redacted, of course, because they don't want them knowing who that is. Now this, you'll have some pictures like this that are completely redacted. You can't even really see anything, which is fine, which is good. This is on one of his yachts. There's a couple of the images of him on the yacht. And this obviously was probably a very perverted image of one of the victims, and also an identity of the person, or persons need to be concealed. Alright, so this one is by a train, is on a train cart. So you have these big storage units that you have on those big cargo ships, and they load them on trains and they carry them through. The legs and feet are visible, but in the hand, but nothing else. Yeah, so this is an example of what Epstein was doing. You know, he would have these different photos taken. All right, so right here is another redacted. This one is in color, and I'm not 100% on the purpose of every single image, of course, as the collective research continues, but yeah, this is one. There's a door in the background. It must be by some house. Or I wonder if it's on one of the islands, probably. A lot of these seem to be on the islands. All right, this is another one in some unknown location. It looks abandoned to me. And that is one of the redacted victims. Now this is just completely redacted. Okay. Okay, this seems like to be this seems to be obviously a few of the ladies wearing either robes or some sort of dress suit, and I don't exactly know what is going on in this situation, but both of their hands are crossed the same way uniformly. right there, like that. All right. This is, to me, looks like a beach area. You in the comments can explain what your opinion about it is, but yeah, and these are some redacted individuals. All right. Another redacted, another redacted. These are very important scenes, of course. Different investigative scenes that they use with trials and crimes, but when they release them to the public, they have it censored. Yeah, okay, this is the abandoned area. Again, to me, it looks abandoned with a full image of the redacted individual. Okay. Let's see. This is probably the same location, standing or sitting on something. And there are some of these images just completely normal of not normal, they can't ever be normal because of what these people did, but some pictures of people at a table or at a beach or at watching a parade. Then you'll have very creepy images of basements with some like a hand with blood, a handprint with blood on the walls. You have very disturbing images that will like contradict each other. So, right, this I have no idea what this could be. It looks like a secluded location, and you had to wonder what horrible things are going on at these disclosed locations. So a lot of times, people that are doing criminal activity, they want to do things secluded where no one's around. Okay, let's see. This is another part of the area where redacted is. Looks like the same location. Looks like an entrance to a gate with a wooden area. Some of these places, it's hard to tell what it is or where it is. Where is it a house? Is it an entrance? Is it a cave? Is it abandoned? Lots of optical illusions, but there are some pillars there. Interesting. And very disturbing at the same time. Now that looks kind of like a palm. As I said, a lot of this is at the beach. A palm plant. Probably a very vulgar image of the victim. Okay. Okay, that is another one of redacted. Yeah, definitely. Okay, this one was very, very shocking, just like the other ones are, because this is some unknown person, which Epstein was known to do blackmail all the time. My opinion, which of course eventually will be proven as a fact at some point, where he is kissing a victim, an underage girl, whoever that is, and they take a picture and you say if they want something done or they want money, they'll go, "Oh, you kissed this girl, so they'll release a picture if you don't comply." So this is the act happening as it's unfolding. Very disturbing. Okay, those are more of the redacteds. Okay, and this is evidence. It's a folder, and those are the pictures and evidence. Right. So this segment is over with about the disturbing imagery as we explore more into the Epstein iceberg. Comment below your thoughts on this. Thank you for watching.